Y'all, today we need to talk about what seems to be a recent update to the crazy Bazaar situation in Wizard101. If y'all have been following the videos, I've been talking about every iteration of the Bazaar update, step by step, that they've done. And today we need to talk about the newest source of outrage over this Bazaar update, which is a screenshot that's circulating on both Reddit and Twitter, basically of the dev's stance on the use of the Bazaar. However, I do think what you'll learn in this video is that a lot is not being said about this screenshot, including key missing context. And I think what the screenshot is doing more than anything is damaging the actual trust of the players and the people that are making this game more than anything. And I think it's worth making a video on for that alone. So for some context on the screenshot that you're seeing, basically one of the biggest parts of the recent Bazaar update that people don't like is that there's a cooldown when you sell stuff. And what this cooldown basically does is it's random. And if you like sell a reagent to give to yourself on another account or a friend, it's random, so they can't actually predict when that's going to enter the Bazaar for them to buy. What that has basically done is it's made the Bazaar a pure auction house, and it's no longer a place where you could trade items. Player trading is a lot more restricted now than it was in a previous update. Now, this is the only major change in the Bazaar other than the UI overhaul, but what a lot of people have noticed is it's had impacts. There's like no reagents in the Bazaar. It looks like there's a lot more bots for one reason or another that are just yoinking the reagent. And the screenshot was asking whether the removal of the cooldown was actually causing a rise of bots. That's really what the screenshot was. However, the word exploit was used. In another screenshot, the word exploit was further clarified as just doing something outside of game design. When I reached out for further context, I was also able to confirm this. Using this definition of exploit, you could say that spinning around to stay in the game and not get kicked out for, you know, inactivity is an exploit, but no one's getting banned for it. The word exploit in the screenshot, just so that everyone's aware, was not used as you're going to be punished if you do this. It was more so used as like doing something that's not originally intended. Now, an extra tidbit about the screenshot that I think is extremely relevant. This was said in a private chat in the official Discord, not the public one. And someone in that chat leaked this without actually including all the larger part of the conversation. And that larger conversation, it was very, very obvious that this Bazaar update, this is just an active discussion right now. No one's getting, you know, this isn't like a definitive stance or anything like that. It's just like literally having a debate. People latched onto the word exploit like it was like a crazy gotcha. I suspect that if this was a public channel type of thing, I think words generally tend to be chosen a lot more carefully because the word exploit can mean multiple things. And this wouldn't have gotten hundreds of interactions on Twitter and Reddit with a bunch of people saying that the devs are brain dead or in an echo chamber. I think there's a very, very clear-cut case of people knowingly taking stuff out of context to make the devs look bad. And I don't really care if this means that I'm coming out in favor of one side or another. I would much rather honest conversations happen. I would much rather that if something is to be like broadcasted, it's done so intentionally and not leaked from a private chat where words might not be chosen as carefully. But let's say that you were to replace the word exploit in these screenshots that were blown crazy out of proportion with doing something not intended in the game. What seems obvious to me is the dev stance isn't we're gonna ban people that find ways to use us, like, you know, features to trade with each other. The conversation seems to be, how do we let people trade with each other that doesn't involve the Bazaar, which can be used to scam people? And on that end, I think there's tons of features that they should really, really consider doing. And hopefully they add those quick so that, you know, there seems to be a vacuum in terms of like what a player can do when it comes to helping someone or trading. I think what this Bazaar overall has really shown is that there's multiple ways that people use a Bazaar that the Bazaar was never originally intended for, but those still need to be addressed so people feel like they can full-fledged play Wiz the way they want. One thing right away, I think the Bazaar was used as a way to trade certain items between accounts that one person owned both of. I'm someone who owns 2 accounts. Sometimes I get reagents that I want on my main account, on my second account, and in my opinion, there should be nothing wrong with selling something to myself. Now that you can't do that anymore, I think they need like some sort of like extension of the current shared bank that applies across accounts. That's something that I think they should have done a long time ago, but I think that would be a slam dunk quality of life update for Wizard101 because it just incentivizes people to make more accounts, which helps them, and it removes a trading restriction that is now in place because of this cooldown thing from the Bazaar. Now, the Bazaar cooldown, the original rationale that they had for doing this probably wasn't to just make things harder for people. What they said on KI Live, again, not sure how convincing I find this argument because I'm not sure this was the overwhelming majority of the way people used it, but they were saying that trades in the Bazaar could lead to scamming. I'm just going to be very, very honest. I disagree with the devs on this specifically because while I do agree that the Bazaar can be open to scams, I still think right now the net good outweighs the bad because I feel like people generally tend to help each other through trading, not scamming. I feel like that's just what the Bazaar is used for. What seems very, very clear to me, in their attempt to prevent people from scamming, they made it so that more people bought things for reagents than before because they genuinely have no other way of getting reagents. I don't agree with people botting because they feel like they have no other choice and basically screw over everybody else, but that is what seems to be happening. So I think the cooldown definitely still something that I think they should tweak. But if scamming is truly a priority, I think they need to add a way to trade reagents simply similar to how we trade treasure cards. And I think the only difference is that because reagents have a very a much more obvious rarity system, right? Like, you know what a rare reagent like Amber is compared to a collectible reagent like Mistwood. I think you should only be able to trade things in similar rarity or have to trade a lot of things in smaller rarity to match up with something of like a bigger one, right? I think they should add like an appraisal system for reagents so that you could actually trade. I don't know how hard this would be to do, but I think that would be a fantastic long-term solution. And definitely something they should start working on now because it definitely seems like people care about this now that they can't use the Bazaar to trade. One other complaint that I've seen a lot is people genuinely feel like altruism in Wizard101 has become harder to do after this update. And by altruism, I just mean some people play Wiz for the dopamine rush of just helping people. And I've seen this. I think this is something that makes this community amazing. You can just hatch pets with someone for free. You can lend them. And a lot of people will just do that just out of the kindness of their heart. And while I love the way lending gives you stuff, I feel like there's a severe lack of that when it comes to anything outside of pet hatch. One of the takes that from the screenshot that a lot of people didn't even bother reading because, you know, exploit bad. Wah! The question was asked, is it more rewarding for you to just give someone a piece of gear, like, you know, just through the Bazaar instead of actually helping them farm for it, right? This is about using the Bazaar to give people gear, right? And this is also something that they never intended the Bazaar to be used for. I would answer that question with a solid yes. I think it is more rewarding to immediately sell someone because you don't get rewarded in any other way for spending the time to help someone farm something. They want to create a higher quality social interaction than just giving someone through, you know, items through the Bazaar. Well, then I think they should really incentivize people to do stuff like team up and other things like that. Right now, the only reason I'd ever do a team up is for like a daily assignment, something that pops up here, or maybe a badge if I really feel like it. You should get stuff like gold and even like cool cosmetic items that can drop randomly from helping anybody. It should just be added to the drop table for joining the kiosk. I think they could create a whole culture around helping people if you felt like the time that you spent doing this instead of just giving someone something in the Bazaar, if that felt rewarded. Like, what's stopping them from adding a quest reward for me joining Freddy's domain, which is a very hard boss to help someone with? Maybe I get extra dream water for helping someone rather than just doing it myself. I think that would lead to higher quality social interactions, which is what they want. It would give it would give people something to do that they feel rewarded for doing if they just looked at the Bazaar as a way to help people. I think that'd be a win-win. I think we need more incentives to actually just help people, much like they have with pet hatching, but something that applies to the broader PvE of this game. TLDR, I think the Bazaar is a living, breathing, growing organism right now. I think we should be open to, like, you know, all the changes, and hopefully the devs are willing to listen to our feedback. I still think the cooldown's too restrictive. If I had to give like a functional take from this video, I still think it needs to be reduced a little bit, or whatever else is causing the reagent shortage needs to be addressed. Maybe it's just not related. Something needs to be done about that. But maybe even more importantly, I think it's also important that we have honest discussions. We shouldn't be leaking chats taken out of context for clicks on the internet. That really is what's happening. I think when something is said in privacy, it's kind of a dick move to just, like, you know, broadcast it and try to take it out of context to make a group look bad. That doesn't sit right with me. It gets in the way of actual conversations that can better the game in the future. So whoever was involved in that, maybe think about that next time before intentionally causing nonsense like this to happen. Just saying. Hopefully they make trading more rewarding, more accessible in Wizard101. I'd love to see that now that the Bazaar clearly doesn't seem like the place for it. Let me know what you guys want to see if the Bazaar isn't the place to do it. Like, in terms of features that help you do things with other people, interact with them in a higher quality way, trade with them. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on this. I did want to make this video just to clarify because I do think probably devs and players agree more than not on the need for new features in this game from this Bazaar update. Let me know, y'all. I look forward to reading all of y'all's thoughts and comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Leave us up a review. And as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon. And yeah.